You're listening to Results Driven Organizations podcast with Dr. Taunya Lowe, a podcast of curated conversations with C-suite leaders and those who support organizational growth and development. Get ready for inspiring interviews, educational lessons, and thought-provoking discussions that will challenge you to execute something new and innovative that will drive results in your organization. And now, here's Dr. Taunya Lowe.
Hello, you're listening to Season 5 of the Results Driven Organizations podcast with Dr. Taunya Lowe, using my results-driven philosophy of strategy, leadership, teams, and customer experiences. I help organizations develop their best-kept secret, their human capital. This podcast is designed to expand the conversation with C-suite leaders and those who support organizational growth and development, and what it really takes to create, develop, and maintain results-driven and high-performing organizations. Welcome back. We are in the thick of Season 5. Can you believe it? What a journey we've been on together, and we're still here. You know, as I was reflecting on where we've been and where we're going, I keep coming back to one thought. We're living through one of the most profound economic and social transformations in human history. I was reading an article the other day, and it said that 2025 is a disruption year, where it's disrupting everything that we thought we knew, we thought we understood, who we were. And I'm sure some of you are feeling that as we speak. For decades, as it comes to the workforce and as it comes to information, for decades, we've been immersed in the knowledge economy, data, knowledge, information. I call it information hoarding, but something fundamental has shifted. Anish Raman, Chief Economic Opportunity Officer at LinkedIn, said that the knowledge economy is over. We've now entered the innovation economy, where human skills such as creativity, curiosity, courage, compassion, and communication are now key. Those are paramount. And I find that really interesting. I think it's always been interesting. I think these are skills that should have always been at the forefront and just enhance as we continue to go. But especially now with 5, 6 generations in the workforce, you have to ask yourself, and I often ask companies, how creative are you? How do you allow people to be bold and courageous within their teams and their departments? Do you carry curiosity? Curiosity is that need to ask questions and dissect a question. And communication is still at the forefront of what makes an organization great. How we communicate with one another, how we share information. Those are all key. Communication is just a really key critical skill to have. We're now crossing the threshold where your ability to ask the right questions matters more than having all the answers. We are in a period of time where it's not going to be the information that you've collected over years and years and years. We can find information within 30 seconds, right? We're in a place now where it's not about having the answers. It's about how can we be more innovative with the information that we have. Is the information that we have still relevant? That's why I wrote my 4th book, The Power of One Question, Results-Driven Thinking. Critical thinking is paramount during these times. And what I found when I go into organizations is that it doesn't matter what generation you're in, everybody's operating on autopilot. They're operating on the years that they've been in the industry, instead of really pulling back and thinking about, instead of collecting the years, how creative and innovative have I been over 10, 15, 30 years? Or am I just riding the wave? I was just speaking with a group of professionals last week, and I know that probably 30% of the room are just literally riding the wave. So let me share something with you. For 5 consecutive years, critical thinking has topped the list of the most needed workplace skill. And if you're following me, if you know about the courses and trainings that we create, a couple of years ago, we created the strategic brilliance course, a 2-day critical thinking course to really help leaders, and you don't have to be in that leadership role, but to help people reconnect to critical thinking. I remember when I first started teaching as a visiting professor for DeVry University, students had to take a critical thinking course, and I taught that course back then. So critical thinking is a skill that's never going away, but it's how do we apply how we think with where we are in the world today. Our educational system and corporate training programs still focus primarily on knowledge acquisition rather than a question formula. When you lead with questions, you get people, you get them thinking, right? You get them that the blood boiling to where if they haven't thought before, you get them in a place where they're thinking about what could be. And as we talk about the generational divide, we now have 5 generations working side by side, each with different communication styles, different values, different approaches to problem solving. Baby boomers, Gen X, millennials, Gen Z, and now Gen Alpha will be entering the workforce this year, 2025. So the right question doesn't just bridge the divides, it transforms them into a source of extraordinary strength. I like to call it a superpower for communication, because each person representing each generation is going to have something really exciting to share about the question that is being asked. And as a leader, as a manager, as a director, we have to allow it to play out so we can get to the innovation, instead of saying, well, we did that, been there, done that, it doesn't work. Guess what? Sometimes it's really about getting back to what did work, or maybe what didn't work then, and revitalizing it, giving it some strength, giving it some energy, giving it some new thought waves and thought patterns. Are you still skeptical about how questions can transform an organization? They can. They really can. And I've got some examples for you.
Here's a word from our sponsor. Are you a busy entrepreneur struggling to keep up with your growing business? Meet EEVA Online Virtual Assistants, your solution for efficient, professional support. From handling day-to-day tasks to managing complex projects, EVA Online Virtual Assistants' skilled team allows you to focus on what matters most, achieving your big-picture goals. Ready to elevate your success? Visit our show notes to learn how EVA Online Virtual Assistants can transform your business operations. EVA Online Virtual Assistants are your partner in driving results, one task at a time. Now, back to the show.
At Pixar, Ed Catmull, who is the CEO, I believe, asks his team, what's not working? That simple question led to the creation of Brain Trust, a revolutionary feedback system that fundamentally changed how they approach creative collaboration. The result, 26 blockbuster films and counting, from just asking one question. Oh my God, I would have loved to have been in the room. And then Reed Hastings at Netflix asked the question, what if we eliminated vacation policies altogether? Can you imagine? That question led to their unlimited vacation policy and a culture that was built on trust rather than control. Netflix didn't just disrupt an industry, They reimagined what corporate culture could be. What questions do you need to ask to disrupt your organization, to create a culture that you dream about, a culture that will function well as we move into this new workforce environment? It's not changing, it's changing, it has changed, and it's changing every day. At Microsoft, Satya Nadella asked, what if we shifted from a know-it-all to a learn-it-all culture? Now, being a person in learning development, I love that. He initiated a transformation that increased their market value by over $1 trillion. One question asked with courage and conviction changed everything for Microsoft. What questions do you need to ask boldly, confidently? Be courageous. Ask the question. The power of these questions isn't in their complexity. It's in their ability to challenge assumptions, reframe problems, and open new possibilities that were previously invisible. What's your one question? We're standing at a pivotal moment, and the skills that got us here won't get us there. They won't get us where we need to go. The innovation economy demands more knowledge. It requires the ability to ask the questions that inspire breakthrough thinking. How about that? What questions can you ask as a leader that will inspire breakthrough thinking? Well, I'll tell you this, before you can even allow or create a space where people feel, you have to create a space where people feel safe enough to ask the bold questions. People are still afraid in the workplace right now. There's a lot of things happening, a lot of change happening. I call it people stuff, people are peopling. But you've got to create a safe environment for people to ask the hard questions and challenge the questions where there's no retaliation, where there's no pointing fingers at, well, you did this wrong or you did this right. It's an incubator where people can talk through and really, really flush out the answers or the right answer for your organization. In this season, I invite you to join me on this journey into the art and science of transformative questioning. We will explore how one perfectly crafted question can change everything for your team, your organization, and even yourself. The future belongs to those brave enough to question. Many times we've been in environments where, or maybe grew up in a place where we've been taught not to question, not to ask questions, go along to get along. That's not going to help you towards your future. And the future begins now. The future begins every day that you wake up. So imagine you're holding in your hands the power to transform an entire organization with just a single perfectly crafted question. That's what Pixar, Netflix, and Google did. Their stories prove that organizational change doesn't require complex frameworks or expensive consultants, although I would love for you to bring me in and I help you with whatever challenges you're having. But if you just ask the right question at the right time, you could receive phenomenal results. You could take one question and really direct your strategic goals, your strategic initiatives for 3, 5, 10 years, just by asking the right question. Welcome to your year of transformation. Welcome to your year of asking the right question. There's power in the questions that we ask. Now run, don't walk to the show notes page and grab my newest book, The Power of One Question. 52 questions designed to really get you thinking about where you sit right now and how you can move the needle forward in your organization. 52 questions that can create a communication framework between the generations. 52 questions that will help you to become better listeners within your organization. Because in order to ask the questions, leaders, you have to be able to listen to all of the answers, not just listen to the people you want to listen to, but listen to new people, listen to new ideas. There's a framework that I talk about in the book. It's called Tell Me More. If we take the Tell Me More philosophy and run with that, as opposed to shutting it down because it's different, it sounds like something that's uncomfortable for you as the leader. Remember, transformation doesn't happen in a vacuum. Get the ideas out. I remember when I first started doing strategic planning, and we would have these brain dump days where people would just get all the ideas out, and we number the ideas, and we leave that first session with maybe the top 3 to 5 ideas to take and develop. Well, just imagine if you use a questioning guide to help you to innovate, to help you look at what are we doing that we need to stop doing? What are we doing that we need to start doing? So I hope this helps. Run, don't walk, again, to the show notes page. Grab my newest book, The Power of One Question. Our special gift to you for being a valuable listener, the 2025 Leaders Reading List. And start your journey today on asking the right questions. Until next time.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Results Driven Organizations podcast with Dr. Taunya Lowe. For all resources mentioned today, guest contact information, Dr. Taunya's results-driven books, and your free gift, visit the show notes. We're dedicated to helping you create results-driven transformation. Until next time.